this tiny baby snake. It's so peaceful in here. Hi there, my name is Danielle and welcome to my channel. This is episode 1 of my garden renovation video. I have always wanted to do this, but have never really found the time, or I convinced myself I didn't have the time to start this project, but I said, nope, not this year. I am actually going to tackle this. For context, I purchased this home back in 2022 with my then boyfriend, now husband, and it's a small 1,200 square foot cabin in the woods. It's beautiful. I'm in my backyard currently. So the first thing that I wanted to tackle for this renovation video was my shed. As soon as I would walk into this beautiful backyard, it's the first thing that I would see past all of the beautiful trees, and that's because it's definitely seen some better days. I did poke it with like a screwdriver to make sure that none of the boards were rotten. I think there is some activity or older bug activity, but I didn't see anything currently. And so I wanted to paint it as a way to seal it, to prevent further damage. It does look really rough in videos. It has a gap at the bottom. The doors probably could use replaced. They're a little warped, but I really am just trying to prioritize funds here, but also improve the aesthetic, improve the look of it. So that was the first thing. The second thing that I really wanted to focus on for this renovation video was the gardening part. So I have never really operated power tools on my own, but I knew that I absolutely could, right? Like we live in the information age. I can use YouTube and I can use my husband as a resource. So I wanted to build on my own a garden bed. And I will not say that every part of that was easy, but I had a lot of fun building it and creating it, and I really can't wait to share all of the details. So I'm going to go ahead and let you get into the rest of the video, but I'm sure I'm going to pop in at a few points because there's probably some videos or clips that need a little bit more explaining than I gave in the moment. So first up on my list of to-dos was to go to Home Depot, and I kind of scoured for all of the different things that I needed, but paint was primarily what I was looking at, and also comparing like different cost of wood. But I loved this laurel garland color. Normally I kind of gravitate towards more of these olive sage type colors, maybe like a little bit more of a yellow toned green, but I just was really uncertain. My inspiration image leaned a little bit more of this sagey color, and so that's where I think I'm headed. But I definitely picked up some paint samples, and then I stared at the Behr website a ton to see what I actually may like, but I was really gonna go in with this tone here. I did test a sample and realized that I wanted to stay the same tone. And so I didn't want to get like a light green that had a lot of yellows and kind of this laurel garland color. I felt like it clashed. And so if you haven't ever gone to the Behr website before, you can just scroll to kind of the bottom of this page or any color that you like, and they will have a whole list of similar colors, and even it's lighter and darker colors, coordinating colors too. So I picked on the next lightest color, which was Eucalyptus Wreath. I also tried one they had that was a shade lighter too, that was Bitter Sage, but I had a feeling that it was too much. And so I just saved the colors that I liked on here. And even though I didn't have the paint card, they were able at Home Depot just to search up everything that I needed. But I just showed them like, hey, can you search this color? And they were able to do it even if they didn't have the color card, which was really, really great. But yeah, I'm feeling this kind of vibe. I did end up getting, because I'm indecisive, like, and they're like $5 each. So I probably spent too much money, but I ended up getting 6 different paint swatches, and I will use the paint swatches for other projects, but I did test out a few. And then when I painted some of these swatches, it just got more difficult. I love the Laurel Garland right in the middle, but the complementing color is where I struggle because I love a yellow green like the one to the right, but I want the doors and the trim to be darker. And I'm feeling sage, but what would you choose? I love them all so much. Okay, so I just got home and I have all of the wood in the car. Half of it. I got the other half of it yesterday, and that was a different experience for me. The people at Home Depot, as kind can be, and I'm a very open person. And I told them right away, I am new to this. I don't know where the carts are. I don't, because there's bigger carts to carry the wood. And I had gone to another Home Depot to kind of scout out where the wood would be. And then I ended up, because it was closer to my work, going on my lunch break yesterday to get the wood, and everything was in a different spot. And so I just had anxiety, I guess. And the whole reason I want to start doing more projects like this is to get out of my comfort zone. I am a fully capable woman. I can do some of this. My husband, as hardworking as he is, and he would use every spare ounce of his free time. He works a lot of hours. He does. It's just the nature of his job. And he would spend every ounce of free time doing the projects for me that I request from him. Like all day on Sunday after church and all day on Monday, he built our island in our kitchen, and he tore out a closet that I didn't want and ran under our house trying to do something to fix it for me. It's just, I'm capable. And I used to would have just been like, can we go together on the day off and go pick up the wood? And I was like, no, I measured my car. It can fit 8 feet. I think they did kind of question, because the first day I went, I said, I think it'll fit in my car. And he says, that's not definite. And I was like, I know. But we're going to try it. We're going to try it. And if it doesn't work, I'll borrow a truck. My friend has a truck. Her and I can go together and pick it up tomorrow. And they said that'd be fine. But it did fit. I've been budgeting out the entire project. And originally I wasn't sure. I mean, wood is expensive. So I wasn't sure exactly how much it would all be. But this was all surprisingly for pressure treated lumber. I spent less than $200, which is pretty good. And yes, I did have to get it in 2 trips, but I will take 2 trips any day to like build some independence and some confidence. Then like I don't want to inconvenience someone and like have them have to let me use their truck. If I can do it on my own, I want to do it on my own. But let's go ahead. I'm gonna get everything unloaded. And the project I'm actually working on today, I'm not building these today, maybe tomorrow, because it's supposed to rain and I can work on this on the porch, so it doesn't matter. But today is a nice day. So I also got some paint while I was at Home Depot, and we're gonna start, I think, painting the shed today, if all else goes well. It's beautiful blue skies. It wasn't supposed to be like this today, so we're gonna take advantage of it. So I got these on Amazon. They weren't anything expensive. For a 2-pack, they were $25, which is really good. And they are kind of plasticky, but they look really sturdy. Like, they feel well made. And I'm gonna put one on each side of the shed. And we get pretty good sun here, as you can see. It's not bad at all. So we're just gonna play around with the placement and get these hung up. And then you'll scroll the little hook on top. Let me make sure. Do it right. Do that, and then you'll just hook it on. And then they hang from this little hook. They're very cute. Not my hand. It's really easy to replace the bulb. You just kind of rotate it, and then you can do your bulb replacement and everything that you need. But there's solar panels on every single side of it, so that no matter where you hang it, you get pretty good sunlight, and then you just attach it. I think that height looks pretty good. And we'll rotate it because I want the flat end to be facing forward. So we might have to rotate the top because I want it like that. Where's the, oh, thank you. All right, so 7.5. So we're doing 3 1/4 is about middle. And then line. Should I put the top or bottom in first?
Either one's good, as long as you get one in.
And is it going the right way?
Check it.
Lefty loosey.
It's going
Wait,
right.
it's going right.
Okay. Put some force in.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay.
Sorry. Wait, I want...
Everything can be adjusted. Got it. There you go.
That's pretty good.
Bam.
I need the other one.
Yeah, put some force. There you go.
Looks pretty straight.
Yeah. Bam.
In. Very straight. All right, so I'm pretty excited and happy with this. I think this is my finished design for the garden bed. At the bottom of the screen here, I have all of the materials that I will need, and you'll see I circled the number of the amount of each board. So I need 4 2x6s, and that is for the topper piece right here for the bed. I also need 6 2x12s, and these are all 8 feet long, but the 2x12s will serve as the outside of the bed. And then the 2x4s are truly just the extra supports that I need inside of the bed to prevent bowing from water and everything like that. And some of these boards don't come usually naturally straight, so I definitely want these to add some extra structure as well. But I think I can get away with just 12 pieces, which isn't crazy, especially with how much wood costs right now. But I was very intentional with the design. I know there's so many different variations of garden beds on the market, but I wanted one that was taller. So this is gonna be 24 inches high, which I really, really enjoy. One, because I'm not crouching down too much, and we have a shed right beside it, so I think it being taller will allow it to get a little bit more sunlight during the day. I also really love this topper. This is the rarest thing that I could not find too many garden beds, especially the metal ones have a very sharp edge to them. And then A lot of the wood ones, they may have a topper, but again, it's like lower to the ground. So I kind of just got to the point where I was like, I think I can make one that suits all of my needs. But if you ever wanted to customize this and, you know, save yourself money, not buy these 4 boards, forget about the topper, you could do that. If you wanted to buy just one 2x4 and just half the amount of wood for the actual edge of the garden bed, then you could do that too. So this is something that could really be customizable to you and what your needs are. But I think this is what I have settled on. You'll notice that I really want, and I'll show you here, an overhang for this top piece. It's 6 inches wide. And so I think that I can do 2 inches on the inside of an overhang and 2 inches on the outside. And I'm just gonna leave these in the 8 feet long that they come in. But because I want that overhang the whole way around, I can't leave these 2x12s, the base of my garden bed. I can't leave those 8 feet long or I will not have an overhang. So you'll notice if you really look at the measurements here that I took that into account. And I think I thought of everything. I know wood can, you know, shrink a little bit as it dries, because a lot of times when you go and you, at least when I've gone and looked at fresh cut lumber, it still is a little bit wet and it needs to dry. So the measurements might change, but we'll have to go and see, which will be the next step. We are cutting all of the wood today for the garden bed, and I am very excited. I think I say I'm very excited about every single thing that we do because I'm genuinely very excited. But I have been doing a lot of practicing, so I think I've got my 45-degree angle down. It looks very angular. I'm very excited. I've also been just testing different cuts. We have a miter saw, so that's what I'm going to be using for this project. My husband is gone. We have prepared for this moment so that I can cut confidently on my own in a way that is safe. So I've got all of my tools today. I've got some very stellar safety goggles. I'm going to put my hair up because I do have pretty long hair and I want to make sure that I am being as safe as possible. Mistakes happen, and you know what? It's wood. If I have to go buy another piece, I can buy another piece. But I'm going to be very careful when I'm measuring. I do understand that the saw takes off 1/8 of an inch, so I know at least that much. But I've got some gloves here that I'm going to make sure I wear just to avoid splinters too. And then the good thing about the Milwaukee tools, that's my husband's favorite brand. I have no preference, but I've always loved using them. But with this, I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna get everything set up on the saw before I put the battery on as extra precaution. That way I can make sure I'm not accidentally hitting anything. There is a safety feature on it, so you have to push a little tab over and then press the button and then pull down and it cuts. So it makes it kind of safety conscious anyways, but because I'm a little paranoid and just a little, I'm very confident. I know how to use it. But with him not being here, I want extra insurance, you know what I mean? I don't want there being any emergency calls. So I'm gonna put this in kind of last once I get everything set up. I'm ready for my cut. I'll slide the battery in and then I'll take my first cut. This was definitely the part of the project that I think I worked up the most in my head, but it was surprisingly easy. Like once you learn how this operates, it could not have gone smoother. So that felt really, really good. And I barely had to call on reinforcements. When I got to the 12-inch long boards, it became like really heavy and I didn't have a long enough table or like an official work table. So it kind of wanted to fall off. So I had him hold everything, but it just went surprisingly well, and I really think if you were intimidated by this whole process that you could do it. Please let that be the encouragement for you to go and DIY to your heart's desire. I did want to mention that I tried to get cedar and I got quoted like $1,200 for that at local lumber mills, and I just could not reasonably see that happening, not for the thickness of wood that I wanted. So I went down this route and I'm really happy that I did. I also am just so excited to get this stained, but the cuts were so good and it was a lot of fun. I got something in the mail and I'm so happy. Does anyone else get as happy as they did when they were a kid when they get a package in the mail? I don't get a lot of mail and I don't get a lot of packages, so when it does happen, I get really happy. But this is my garden bed stain slash sealer. It's a sealer technically, but it's tinted to be cedar color. I kind of went back and forth between the type of product that I wanted to have. There was one company that made a stain that was out of recycled cheese whey. I thought that was so cool and I thought that was what I was gonna get, but they didn't have the cedar color in stock and I watched it like a hawk for a full month there. I even emailed and sadly I didn't get an email response back, and it was a really kind email. It was just like, hey, is this gonna restock? Is it planning to be? If you can't share that answer, that's fine. But yeah, I didn't get a response back. So I went to plan B and I actually saw, well, I had bought a sealer for the garden bed because stain usually is not enough. So I was gonna stain it and seal it. So I had the sealer already. And I went to that company's website and they actually had one I didn't see before, which is a tinted sealer. So instead of having to do both stain and seal, I could do one thing, 2 coats. It would save me money. I did all the math. Technically, the cheese whey one was a quart, so it wouldn't last me as long, and I broke down the cost of everything. Even though this was a gallon and I would be paying more money up front, it would save me money in the long run. So hopefully I love it. That way we can use it on some future projects as well. I already have a few in mind, but let's go ahead. This is actually perfect timing. The sun just broke through the clouds and hopefully it will warm just a little. The weather range the past week in Georgia has been crazy. We started last Sunday in the 80s. Monday went to the 20 degrees, and now it's next Sunday is supposed to be back up to 80. So we've been increasing about 10 degrees a day. So I need to make sure it actually is warm enough for me to apply this sealer. I don't want any funky things happening to it, but let's go ahead and get started because this is like the pinnacle of all the things I've been wanting to do, is get some color on these garden beds as fast as possible. But yeah, let's go ahead and open this up and get to it. So you can see here that it is in that cedar color and it is a whole gallon. It'll cover up to 800 square feet. And it does have like a lot of benefits to it. It's non-toxic, 100% plant-based, and safe for organic gardens. So I think this will be perfect. It is recommended that you do 2 coats to properly seal everything, but I am very ready indeed. I wonder if it smells bad, if it's really strong. I guess we'll find out in a moment. Tia? I got a cup to pour this in because I know myself, and this is gonna be too heavy and too big to actually try and like dump it on the wood. I'll probably pour too much. So I'm going to put this in this cup here. It does say, like I said before, to do 2 coats. So I'm gonna make sure I do that. And I think you only wait not too long, allow the first coat to dry on about 30-60 minutes, and then apply a thin second coat, making sure you wipe away excess or it gets sticky. So let's get started. Yeah, this will be so much better. I know it may bother some people that I'm not taking these numbers and letters off, but they're not on both sides, and I'm not going to sand off the green because this is the pressure treated coating and I like that it's there. I tested some patches on the other board how the green would look, and I don't think the green is ugly. Like, it doesn't bother me that it's showing through. If anything, it makes it seem more earthy. So I'm not going to take it off because that's a lot of mess and a lot of work for something that doesn't personally bug me. But if it does bug you, you could do the opposite of what I'm doing and make sure that you can take that time. But I just don't have anything that can sand it really smooth. I don't even have one of the sanders that kind of rotates, or it's like circle shaped. I have a traditional kind of square one, and it's just a lot of effort for something that's going to get filled with dirt, so I'm choosing not to. See, that kind of looks cool to me, and I don't mind it at all. I like it. I think it's different. So I just put the first coat on, and you can truly see the difference in color. Is it 100% going to look like cedar? No, because it's not cedar. But I mean, even with this cross section, it's so pretty. Oh, look. It's so pretty. And so I am so happy. I still have to do a second coat, but I'm loving already what it's doing to the color. This is rough cut lumber, so it's not going to be 100% smooth. I don't have a planer where I can kind of run it through and get it 100% smooth. And there's dirt that is going to go into this, so I am absolutely fine if, you know, the coloring kind of settles into these grooves. I think it gives it character too. But yeah, I'm very, very excited. We need to let this dry 5 minutes, and then I should be able to flip them over. As long as they're dry to the touch, flip them over and do the other side and the sides, and then I'll do another coat after about 35-40 minutes. Something that keeps making me laugh is that this sealer smells like fruit. Like, it smells good, which is really odd. I'm so used to when I'm using oil-based stain for it to smell really intense and stinky, like not good at all, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, and it's going pretty well. So, but it's just so weird, and I guess fair to note that for any of you that use this. It kind of makes me realize how much other things are filled with chemicals, so I actually feel really good about using it. So it is the next morning, and I did get done with most of the wood yesterday, but definitely not all of it. You'll have to excuse my mess, but I got done with all of the kind of support pieces, and I even did some of the edge pieces over here. So we have all 3 of these supports left. As you can kind of tell around me, spring is here. It is indeed. It's very early in the morning, and the birds are so beautiful. But we have a lot of kind of like brush and the thorny bushes and things like that to kind of pull out today. They're kind of going crazy because it's the beginning of spring, and I really need to get all of that out of there so that I can place my garden bed in the right place. You can kind of tell that the sun comes from the front of our house. Like I said, it's pretty early, so we don't have a lot of sun yet, but I'm trying to scout out as it rises to really see where the best place is. I don't think this backyard is ideal for planting at all seasons, just because we have so many trees. There's so many beautiful trees around us. So I'm gonna try and plant smart this year, just to make sure that I'm not spending too much money on a lot of things that I know probably won't grow. I'm leaving things like tomatoes into the bigger pots that I may be able to move around to get sun. Not every single day, but if I notice it's not getting good sun where it's at, I can move that. And I'm going to be putting all of the screws in my garden bed today. I did a few practice ones last night, but I'm gonna be doing all of the rest of that today. So let's go ahead and get started. Aw, look at me. I was so happy and optimistic for that day. But I will say this was the part of the project that was hardest for me. I realized how little wrist strength I have, and I got frustrated, and I probably stopped lots of times. So my clothes changed quite a bit, but I always came back to it. I was determined, and I will say it did get easier. You just have to get the hang of it. But wow, were there some interesting moments. And this was the moment that I was just almost done. But if I look back on all of the progress I have made, I would say that there were some really beautiful moments and definitely some opportunities to learn, but also a lot of moments to feel really proud that I was able to get some of these screws in without any problems at all. It's crazy to me how hard using the impact driver was when I first started, and now they glide in like nothing. Seriously, you just have to get a feel for it. You just have to get past the initial like, wow, you need to put a lot of pressure on this, and then it gets so much easier. But like, that's the thing, is a lot of times you start and it's not working out, and so you stop. But I hope that you keep going, because now, I mean, after only one project, I feel really good about using just the drill and the impact driver all on my own. So it's pretty nice.
What you doing, baby?
It's so peaceful in here.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I have to fill this with dirt today, and so I'm enjoying, I'm never gonna get to lay in here again. And it's so nice in here.
Yeah.
So I wanted to try and lay just a little so that I can experience it. And it's honestly so pretty. There's like some trees above me and blue sky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I should probably get to it, but I'll see you later.
All right, baby. I love you.
I love you too. So I found a really great deal on these very large pots. I got them at an antique store, and they were only $12 a piece, and the size is pretty large. They didn't have holes at the bottom, so I did go in and I drilled a ton of holes for drainage at the bottom, but it was pretty easy with just like a larger drill bit. Then I did like a cost comparison. So I got these for $12 each, but I think I found the same ones at Home Depot, and I think they were $30 at Home Depot and I think it was Wayfair had them for 20. Target had some similar that were a lot smaller for 30 or 40, which is absolutely crazy to me. So I think this was a really great deal. And I have 3 of them, so I might use them for tomatoes and maybe even potatoes. I can fill it with potatoes and then just dump out the whole thing when the potatoes are ready, so it's easy to kind of go through and I don't have to dig around a whole garden bed. I wanted to add a quick note here that you don't need necessarily fancy pots or terracotta pots that cost $100 at the store. If you want large pots, use a actual container, like one of those big kind of containers that you store your Christmas decorations in. Kind of get thrifty. You can also find some bigger planting pots at the thrift store sometimes, or estate sales, yard sales are so common too. But don't feel like you have to do, you know, what I do. Even though I found this really, really good deal, that's what I'm looking for. I am not looking for anything crazy at the very, very beginning. Look at this tiny baby snake. I know some of you are probably gonna think I'm crazy because of where I put my garden bed, but like, look, here we are, mid-afternoon. I know we've got a lot of brush and things to clean up. Here's our shed. Here is the rest of our yard, but look over there. Do you see how the sun is just coming through? Ooh, I tripped, with like full force. This is what I need. This is what I want. I'm gonna be sourcing from this big pile of sticks and logs for the garden bed. I'm kind of going in an order of cardboard first, which I already laid down. I did pull all of the labels and stuff off after I laid them in, and then was like, should I have put those in there? So I went back and I peeled all of the labels, and as much of the tape as I could get off. A lot of it does look like that tape that kind of dissolves too or breaks down with the cardboard, so not too worried about that. But I've seen where people will lay cardboard down first, and then they will do a layer of logs, sticks, leaves, and then you go in with your dirt. I'm doing a pretty heavy mix for like just regular soil or raised garden bed soil. I'm mixing a little extra perlite in there to help with the drainage, and I'm also adding a hefty amount of compost to make sure like everything has enough kind of nutrients and everything. I'm using a mushroom compost, and I'm trying to figure out if there's anything I need to mix in. If there is, I might grab some of that at the hardware store tomorrow, because I already realized that I need a few extra plant pots for some of the flowers that I got. So it wouldn't be a real project unless you, of course, did like at least 3 or 4 or 10 trips to the hardware store. So yay, but it's getting filled, which is great. And this is the point where I was like, what have I done? What have I created? Because this thing is huge. And I knew that, but at the same time, when it comes to filling a garden bed like this, I was like, wow, this is going to take a lot more than I thought. But I did kind of a traditional method where I did cardboard, logs, sticks, and I had a lot of good dry material from just yard work that I've done. I did want to kind of wet in between layers too, just so that it wasn't all dry and it could kind of pack down a little bit more. But no, I was like, this is taking so much more than I thought. And I purchased some soil and some compost. I don't know what I was thinking. I bought not enough. I wanted to do, I read in a few different places like a 20 to 50% compost and the rest soil mixture is pretty common. So I put these bags on here and was like, oh no, this is going to take so much. So this was the original idea, and then I ended up having to place an order for all the rest of this. If I had known, I would have just got like someone to drop off a truck bed of soil, but you know what? It's more of a one-time expense anyways. I can just add nutrients back. And then I added some perlite for drainage. says hot and spicy. What does hot and spicy mean? Oregano.
Hello?
I got more than I was expecting. There's already a bee pollinating my flowers. And then I went ahead and used a very similar method. I just put some sticks and leaves and things at the bottom of these barrels too. Barrels, planting pots, that's what I mean. But I debated this year. I really wanted to focus on building the garden bed and maybe trying some things that were easier. Some may say it defeats the purpose if you're gonna buy your own plants, like a pre-grown tomato plant and things like that, but it didn't have like fully ripe tomatoes on it, so I still feel like it counted. But I had a lot of fun kind of just having these, and it gave me a lot more hope to see growth sooner. I will have to post after this video some updates, because even with me just recording this video now, it looks so good, which restored some faith, because I really didn't know what I was doing fully here. But it definitely did restore some faith, like, hey, this is capable of succeeding. And I kind of needed that boost in confidence. So don't let anyone tell you that it is not okay to just go and get some plants at your plant nursery. I went to Pikes. There's a lot more local ones too you could go to, where you can get some pretty good plants. What matters is that you just start. This might not be as cheap as if you were to grow from seed, but I wanted to get like the foundational pieces of my garden in, work on planting in these pots, see how it goes, work on planting in the garden bed, and just see how I like it. And I knew that if I kind of got the hang of that, saw how maybe the light was filtering in, if I was getting enough light, that I could adjust along the way. So that gave me a lot of hope in this process. But I did decide to do potatoes here. That way, once they're done, I can just dump out the whole container. But it was going really well. So I am not exactly an expert on gardening, right? Because I'm just getting started. So please give me some grace as I try and figure out placement of things. I am feeling pretty good about giving myself that grace, and knowing that if something is growing too much and I need more room, that I can move it. So I'm not really worried if I plant the jalapenos or the bell pepper kind of close together right now, and I notice something's wrong. I will do my due diligence to really make sure I'm trying to give it its best shot to live. So I will change what I need to. But I did do a lot of research on like companion planting and things that will help with like bug deterring. So I have some chives, and I don't have any onion this year, but I'd love to grow onion and garlic in the future. But like with the tomato, I've got some marigolds. I also have basil that I might plant at the base, but I don't want to overcrowd it. So we're just gonna see what happens and try our best for this season, at least, to get everything I can in there. We're past the peak sun time for today, so if it does look a little shady, we're in the late afternoon, so it would have gotten a ton of sun before. But let's go ahead and start planting some of these things in and see what happens. And this was the part I had been waiting for this entire few months, that I was planning and implementing and just doing all the things for this garden bed. I got to sit on the edge and garden, and that's all I wanted. And it really brought this nostalgic feeling of like watching my grandfather garden, and just I had a lot of really good feelings here, and it just felt like all of that effort and the planning was worth it. And on this backside, I planted jalapenos and bell peppers because they get a bit more sun. The shed cast a bit of a shadow on the garden bed later in the day, so I thought these would be good. I will add like a cage if I need to. Maybe I'll make my own to support the peppers because they can get quite big. But I was so happy there. I think the carrots were very unhappy with me. Don't really know if I was supposed to tear them apart like that. I should have looked that up before, but they look good now. I also read they don't love to be removed from their home once they start growing, so we'll see. I think all of this garden bed, I mean, I didn't realize how rough it looked until I watered it, and then I came out the next morning and everything just looked refreshed. And then even like a week after that, everything just looked so much more stable. You don't realize that in the moment. My romaine lettuce looked so sad, so sad. But I'm very glad that it looks happier now. And then I cannot remember for the life of me what this plant, this flower is called. I knew it was a vining something, but it did have pest deterrent properties. I kept the tag for it, so I'll have to find what it is. If you know, tell me, because there is a chance that, I don't know, a mouse or a squirrel stole that tab. I'll have to go looking for it. But I also planted marigolds kind of in my front little herb garden that I have to right off my railing. I don't have that in this video, but I love that because it's convenient right off my kitchen. And then the marigolds are great. I have those there, and I have them at the base of my tomato plant and here. I love the way they look, but they do help deter bugs too. So that really just made me feel good. And you may see some not perfect cuts. I promise I cut my border of my garden bed correct, but I will say that's the one thing that I would change, is that being a cheaper board was probably not the best idea for something that's going to be finishing. These boards were not perfect. They were a bit warped. You can even see here I have to add a screw to that middle support post to make it kind of go to the bottom. It had warped. And so I would replace this with maybe a higher quality board. If it, something happens to it, I might just pull off the topper and replace it. But this is so beautiful. So I found this brass lizard hook at the antique store the other day, and my mom was like, Danielle, you've never seen anything like that. You have to get it. And so I imagine it out here on the shed, if you can imagine, because there's our little light. And then it'll hold like a little shovel or something that I can use, maybe my shears, for the garden bed that's right there. It's gonna be so cute. So I got this little turtle statue at an antique store on vacation, and honestly, this is like one of those things that I could have passed on, but my husband picked him up and said his name will be Joffrey and we will be taking him home. So I am going to use him over on my garden bed as just some decor and some way to add a little bit of both of our personalities into it, but I love him. Joffrey, you now live here, and you are the protector of the garden bed. Should I actually put him inside the garden bed? Like, he'd look kind of cute, like, in the dirt, right? I don't know if he'd deter pests. I don't know if that's a good idea, but I think he looks cute. Don't mind all of the pine things in here. I am cleaning it out as we speak. And just like that, this garden renovation, this backyard transformation is done. I want to take you back for a moment to remember where we started. This shed was just a complete eyesore in my backyard. The paint was chipping. It was winter, so everything just looked really dead. But with a coat of paint, I feel like this has absolutely come to life. The cute little lights that we added, and you can really see from season to season. So we started in winter to now all the trees are so green. And this garden bed, to me, I know the coloring, like with the green kind of coming through. To me, that is so cool. And I do think this looks so much more like cedar than had I just clear sealed everything. And it is huge. This garden bed is truly 8 feet long by 4 feet. It is wild. But I just look at all of these plants now that they've settled into place. This is probably after about a month or so of growth. And I have my first bell pepper. I saw a little flower on it the other day, and now it's a bell pepper the size of my thumb. My tomatoes, if you remember from earlier, were tiny when I got this plant, and now they are huge. They actually probably will be ready here very soon. All right, everyone, and that is it for episode 1 of my garden renovation video. I hope that you love it as much as I do, or it inspires you to get outdoors more and maybe start a garden of your own. Please know that you can use my plans and everything like that absolutely free. Take a screenshot, do what you would like to do to, modify it to fit what your needs are. I'm happy to answer any questions that maybe you all have for me. Maybe it's, tips that you have for me too. I am welcome to receive all of that and really do appreciate it. For episode 2 of my garden renovation video, or backyard renovation, it's kind of both. I already have some plans. I salvaged some bricks from my father's old property that I plan to use for that weird gap at the bottom of my shed. I'd love to build a stone pathway or something like that from the shed to my house. And I also, because my tomato plant is already growing taller, I need to build a more permanent, it's not a trellis, but it's like a tomato cage. And I would love to build one, DIY one that's not so expensive. But yes, I have a lot of things coming in the future. This will definitely not be the only video that you get from me, but I will see you again next time. Thank you.